All right. Welcome to the Psychic Soul Healer channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message for whoever that resonates with this, whoever that lands on this video and resonates with it. It's an all zodiac tonight. If you're new to the channel, anything that you need to know of any relevance to the channel, you can find in the description box of the YouTube channels. You can also find my TV show link. You can find my other YouTube channel that has my coaching program on it. I'd like to do psychic soul healing readings. So will I look at what's going on with your connection? Of course. But I like to look at the karmic energies. I like to look at the spiritual themes. Why? Because that is going to help you to navigate the relationship so you can get the best outcome for yourself. Because there's many different realities to every situation. That's why. That's what karma is all about. Karma is all about what you choose to do. So if you have an awareness of what your person is going to do, why they're going to do it, it's not just why they're going to do it. It's literally the spiritual cause of why they're going to do it, which usually has something to do with how a person feels about themselves. So again, looking at karmic themes. So I just like to put that out there. You'll understand more as I go if you're new to the channel. Now, if you're interested in winning a free reading with me, all you need to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the magic word of the day. And the magic word of the day, we're going to use the Psychic Soul Healer deck to pick the word. And the word is prudence. That's the word of the day. Okay. Now, like I said, energy is fluid. Hey, Wendy, how are you? So again, I was saying energy is fluid, so roles can be reversed. Just know that you got to interpret the message as best resonates for you. All right. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. Maliciousness. I don't like that word. I think last time you were on, that word came up. Again, like a mean energy. Maliciousness. So sometimes that could be, someone that does mean things from a passive aggressive standpoint. Like, that they're being mean because they might be sarcastic, right? I remember that from last time. So you're still dealing with that energy. Sometimes we're more afraid of someone being malicious and being mean than they actually would be. A lot of times, whatever we've gone through within our life, we don't realize that unconsciously we look for things, and it's hard, especially when you've gone through trauma. That's why I wanted to share that, especially with you, Wendy, because I remember last time when we go through situations and experiences that make us question our safety, question our survival. Now, survival could be emotional too. If we didn't emotionally get what we need, then what happens is we can look for things, and sometimes people know what you look for. And you know what I'm feeling? And this is without even pulling the cards, but I'm feeling like you deal with people that know what you need, but deliberately don't give you what you need. And that's a form of maliciousness, right? It's a form of it's a way that people unconsciously keep you in your place. They don't and where they don't let you 100% in, because it's, again, how do we form trust, right? It's a form of narcissism when a person emotionally manipulates you. But it's, again, sometimes it's the people that aren't even narcissists. We feel that we may bring that out in people. Victim, right? And so then we always say and like this victim state where we can't protect ourselves. So because of someone else, right? So this is the energy, the spiritual energy. This is why we want to look at the spiritual energy first, because that will help us heal the situation. Why? Because if you don't heal and you don't integrate, you're going to still have the same situations play out. We all do. We all have the same experiences, which are called karmic cycles. And when they keep playing out over and over, they're called karmic loops. And karmic loops, again, are because we're unconscious of how we are contributing to the undesirable life experience. How we keep winding up in victim state. But really, it's because certain people are around us, or not just around us. How do you heal it though? We'll get to that. This is a story first, the energy that I'm picking up. So if you're resonating with this, Wendy, this is good because you were meant to hear this. But we will definitely get to it. Invincibility. Well, first of all, it's to know that you're invincible, right? Sometimes when we feel we give someone so much power, again, of what they're going to do, it's not really what a person does maliciously. It's we're always afraid that they're going to do something. So the way that they really can get to you is if you are no longer in the present moment. You're too focused about what they're going to do. So you're no longer in the present moment. You're coming from a place of your trauma, and that was a place where you were weaker. That was a place that you didn't learn anything. So first of all, is to know you're invincible because, again, God's inside of you. And that's a gift of spirit. That's what connects us to each other. And that part of self is the supernatural part of self. So that will come to intuition. Like if you're around someone that is deliberately being mean, but they're trying to do it in a passive aggressive way. Or if they're not doing it in a passive aggressive way, they're deliberately doing it to you. They're trying to make you feel weak. They're trying to, make you question your safety and survival, but they're not really going to do anything. A lot of it is threat. Even if they, let's just say, took you to court, like that's the most that they can do. They couldn't kill you. And the truth always comes out, So understand anything. So they don't really have power. The power that they have is over your mind. And again, so the spirit gives us the energy to gives us the supernatural power to really protect ourselves through our intuition. Again, knowing how a person is allows us to place ourselves in the right way. That's number one. Number two, not giving them your energy by your focus, right? Your choice of focus is your greatest tool to fight someone psychically. You don't give them anything. So you will no longer be in the past where that trauma happened before, and no longer in trying to be in the future of what that person might do. Because really only in the now do you get divine guidance. So it's about building your sense of strength because you don't feel strong within your body. And that's really what it is. And that's because at one time you were made to feel small. Again, not feel nurtured, not feel safe. But we have to ask ourselves, is it really that you're not safe? And it's like, no, you're always safe. Spirit is, again, inside of you. Again, dark night of the soul. A lot of times now, what I contribute this to, we all know what a dark night of the soul is. Dark night of the soul is when we go through an experience that, and it's a major experience, one that makes us question who we are. So it's a death of the soul. It's the death of the ego, rather, not death of the soul. It's the death of your ego The ego part of self is the part of self that tells us who we are. So in this, for instance, when you're like, when we're talking about, well, I don't want to be the victim, I don't have a big ego. Well, an ego is anything that protects us. So if your ego is some, if you don't have a good self-esteem, you're not going to feel safe. When really that's not the truth. However, if you don't feel safe, then you need to do things that are going to make you feel safe. And that would be to help ground yourself. Because again, if we're up in our head, thinking about the past, worried about the future, we're no longer in the moment. And again, that creates a lot of nervous energy, creates a lot of, again, physical issues over time, because we have to be, again, present and in a place of rest and digest so we can go with the flow of life. Because again, spirit works through, everything and everyone all the time. So we're in the past or we're in the future, we're again disconnected from ourself, from our physical body, which means that we're not feeling strong in the physical body. So it's about getting a better connection to your physical body, because when we're not strong in ourself, we hold it within our body and our body posture, and unconsciously we're telling people that we're not strong. So you may say, well, people always bully me. I feel like I'm always bullied. Well, unconsciously, you don't know what your body billboard is showing people. Again, your posture, the way that you talk, the way that they can feel your energy. So it's all done psychically. When you're like, I don't do anything, well, it's again, people intuit and you're sensitive. So it's again, you can pick it up. So the dark night of the soul is this, death of an ego. So when you say how to heal it, again, how do you heal it? I would say, well, that part of yourself that you created to keep you safe at one time needs to die. Again, because what'll be left is the true self. And you may say, well, the true self isn't really that much, or I don't know who that true self is fully. And so you dig deeper into your, into your wound, because that's really what it is. It's a wound. Whenever we've disconnected from ourselves and we're like, I don't even know who that person is or what that part is. And you're talking about yourself, because the soul will never say that you're a victim. The soul will never think that this energy is okay for you. Know that. So it starts with you, because you're a mirror of who and what is going to come into your life. So understanding this energy is important, even though it may not be as exciting, because you want to be able to deal with situation. Again, virtue. You want to be able to raise your vibration to this high, the highest vibration, which is a virtue. And that's all about your character coming from a place of fear. We can't have good character, right? Because again, you're coming from survival. Survival is fear. And so we first say we want to get strong within ourselves. So it's the first, again, Wendy, about getting a better connection to your physical body. And then it would be about creating the high vibrational character, because what's within is without. So you may say, well, I'm not a bad person. Well, you may not be a bad person, but may not be enough identity. When there's not enough identity because someone told you who you were, or again, you had to follow other people's rules, lived in other people's homes, they taught you how to live, what you should do, what you should think, but is that what you embodied? Were those your feelings? No, our parents do the best that they can do. The environment does the best that it can do. However, and we can take pieces of that environment and put it towards our life, but is there enough of you, your passions, doing what you love? Because when we're talking about character, we want to always aim for unconditional love. Unconditional love is the highest vibration. And that highest vibration allows you to attract abundance, and real unconditional love, not lust, unconditional love, and from place of safety, because what's within is without. Right, that's what spirit is saying. You want to get rid of this energy. This is fear. And so spirit's saying again, you gotta like all that, those parts of the ego, everything that's not working in your life. And I feel like you're actually in kind of like the dark night of the soul. You've been in the dark night of the soul, mainly because of this energy. When you're not the bad person, you're actually invincible. You actually have that spirit part of self, and your spirit wants to be in this place of unconditional love. And that's truly what it wants. And so it starts with creating yourself. And you may say, I don't have the resources, I don't have this. Spirit says everything you need, you have. The kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. It takes a mustard seed, God makes that multiply. So understand, we're all David going up against Goliath. We'll all say we don't have enough. We're not enough, because when we say we don't have enough, we're saying I don't have enough. But really, spirit says it's about growing your passion, finding your passion. And so there's a part of you, again, that spirit is saying, like, that is the issue. You keep making it like somebody else is like has power over you. And understand, when we were a kid, we weren't safe. And many of us do live in experiences that would have made us feel like we weren't safe, but we did things to also not, we didn't know what to do to make ourselves feel safe. So we did the best that we could do. But the key is to make ourselves strong. Strong on the inside, again, first, and strong on the outside. Strong on the outside, you can do weight training, because that helps you with the breath and the body mind. Gets you back in the moment, resets your nervous system. Again, that's really important, because like I said, when we have a lot of anxiety, we're no longer in the present anymore. We're worried. And then what happens is you'll find that your body bogs back and forth between depression, anxiety, depression, anxiety, depression, anxiety. So you want to get a better connection to the physical body. And that, because again, you're then able to co-create with the divine. Again, so you'll see the support, you'll heal that area, because at one time you didn't feel safe, you weren't supported, so you created support. However, the support is like not strong. So what happens is, as we grow, the support falls apart. So that's why it's really important to do that. All right. So again, and know your magic. And we can know our magic by becoming ourselves, right? This is the important part. Now, if you are in a connection, now that message was for not just Wendy, but anyone that resonated with it. Now, I always wanted to look and see what's going on in your relationship. So if you are in a connection with someone, I wanted to be able to look and see what's going on. So we're going to look and see what the hidden truths are first within your connection. Whoops. All right. Let's see what the hidden truths are. So we could feel too that if we're reading this about a person, like your connection, and not about yourself. But I feel like this was more, again, about not feeling strong within ourselves. When we're not strong within ourselves, a lot of times it wouldn't be uncommon to see cards that were in alignment with that theme. Someone that's making you not feel strong because they're not strong, right? You're a magnet of whom what comes into your life. And a person that's not strong will show that by how emotionally open they are, by how well they communicate. So if you keep finding yourself in a relationship with those people that have those types of characteristics understand that's because of this energy that you're holding. That's because, again, of the energy of like that, the not solid structures. When I see dark night of the soul, right? It's the parts of our life that collapsed, and they collapsed because the foundation wasn't good. And then the foundation could be, and anything that's not built on unconditional love. So if we wear a mask, obviously that's a part of ourselves that we detach from. We're not the mask. The mask is who we want people to perceive we are. So if we are holding this energy, we may be attracting people that wear masks, even if we don't wear a mask, is what I'm trying to get at. Because a lot of times people say, why do I attract that type of person? Or it's the fourth relationship and they all do the same thing. Well, understand it's because you need to heal yourself, and understanding what the spiritual energy is allows you to do that. It allows you to dive deep within inside yourself so that you can integrate the spiritual lesson, so you can transcend the limitations of your situation. So, like I said, it was my fault, but I blamed you. Like I said, I just told you it wouldn't be uncommon to get cards again of manipulation, low character, right? How are you the victim? You're the victim because, again, maybe again, part of the maliciousness is gaslighting, right? When you're connected to someone that gaslights you. I want to be more than friends. I don't react when people mention you. So again, the person that you're connected to is not emotionally intelligent at all. And I say that because I feel like every time you got close to this person, they would do something to um, you know, to make you question how important you were in their life. They actually went out of their way a few times to make it seem like you weren't as important because they wanted to get an emotional reaction. They're a little bit of a energy vampire, and they're an energy vampire because, again, they don't know how to communicate, which is the energy that I felt. And I felt that way because, again, you played the victim, you're in a dark night of the soul. So again, there were parts of yourself that obviously weren't working. So we do the best that we can, but the parts of ourselves that we're ashamed of are the parts that usually get exposed. So this could be, you might be going through financial problems. You might be going through a legal problem. You may, again, a dark night of the soul is something that comes to a head. So again, not uncommon for you to attract or have this type of energy in your life during this time. So it's someone that makes you, again, play the victim even more, like where they're not being honest, they're emotionally manipulating you. However, you can feel that they want to be more than friends because they do. Their wounds create a lot of psychological reversals where they get in their own way and they get fearful and then they play games. And they don't want anyone to know how they truly feel about you, mainly because it's, again, they don't know how you feel. So again, not emotionally intelligent, someone that's a very immature, closed down. I bury myself in work to forget about you. Someone that I feel like wanted to waste a lot of time in hopes that you would come back and talk to them. Someone that, again, has feelings, but is in a place of lack themselves. So if you're like, how come I'm not getting anyone that, again, gives me what I need? Well, this is the reason why. It's that you have to give yourself what you want to attract, right? So this person is not emotionally capable. So this would tell me that you're attracting emotionally, like people that are avoidant, people that don't show up, people that are just, like you said, emotionally not intelligent. And that's how you stay in your karmic cycle. You stay in your karmic cycle and stuck in this limited relationship because you can feel that there is a connection, and there is a connection, but your person gives you just enough to keep you held on. And then what they do is they played a lot of games, and but they still have feelings. Like you said, hoping that you'll come back. I feel like I regret lying to you. And that's the thing. So now I feel like they're a bit stuck in where they are. And it's because a lot of times when people are living from that ego place, they're in that survival mind where they're only thinking about themselves, which is what I feel like. However, now that you left, they're actually reflecting, and they do care, because if they didn't care, they wouldn't not play it so hard. Like, I'm not going to react because I don't want anyone to ask me any questions about you, because if they do, they might be able to read that I really care and I might just die. That's like, again, they're not emotionally intelligent. And now they're stuck in the place of regret because they did all this to not show you how they feel. Now they're going to have to come back and show you how they feel in order for you to really give them what they want, right? It's like they make relationships like twice as hard. This relationship didn't need to be this difficult. But someone that has a wound, like, it continuously gets in their own way, and that's what happens. I feel like I ruined everything. And then what happens is they become the victim, right? So you say like draws to like. In the beginning, they were not the victim. In the beginning, you were the victim. You did because of things that were going on in your life. And then you attracted someone that really, again, once their ego collapsed, they, again, dark night of the soul, right? Because that's what I feel like goes to like. So you pulled someone to you that was going through similarities, and which is, again, death of an ego. And so what happens is that there's nothing there a lot of times, because the death of an ego is that perceived personality, that mask of the part of ourselves that we detach from, the part of ourselves that we don't like. So in this relationship, like, is actually their connection to you, rather, is making them take off the mask, because they're actually looking at their behavior, which a lot of times this is what helps us get back to a place of unconditional love, right? Because this is not an easy thing for the person to have to go through the death of an ego. It's not easy for you to go through a death of an ego, but you actually seeing this person come back and apologize and try to make it work, because they actually are, in regret about it, where they're thinking about it. Again, person that ruins something, they usually don't think about it if they don't care. So they realize that they do care, but they're a little bit in a dilemma between having to be vulnerable and come back and apologize and be different, and moving on and having their false persona still live, right? The ego, where the ego already died, because and you're no longer there. Jealousy and possessive. So it's again, they're wounding. I feel like in the past, they've had people cheat on them. They're a little bit possessive and they're totally afraid that you'll be that way. And unconsciously, I believe that they make people this way. Again, like goes to like. So again, being insecure would this person would play games to try to make you jealous. It's the way that they would be possessive. You may be again jealous because they don't emotionally give you that much and then appear as being possessive. So that's why if we go back to creating ourselves, to create the balance, to have that passion, so that there's some sort of, otherwise you're going to give too much. I miss you again. So they're thinking about it. They are thinking about it. Like I said, our story isn't over yet. So they're going to come back. They want to come back to fix it. Because they see that their games really aren't working. Like, and I think that for a long time, this is the way that they would play it, and the relationship would never get that deep, and they felt safe, but they were never really fulfilled. So with this relationship, it's a difficult relationship. It's difficult because it makes them change. It makes you change. It makes you look at things differently. Well, because love does that. So there is this strong spiritual connection. However, there was also a lot of pain where it drew out a lot of spiritual wounds to make you both look at. And I think also whatever was going on in both of your lives helped do that. All right, so message B. I contradict myself and give you mixed messages because I don't know what I want. And that's what I was saying, like where they want it, but they're afraid, they're wounding, they get in their own way. So that if you're like, I can feel that this person likes me, but I feel like they don't give me. Well, that's the issue. I love spending time with you, enjoying each other, and the simple and cozy pleasures of life. So they're back to that, where you're like, I feel like they do care, and they do. It's just, I feel like they get in their own way sometimes. Again, where they contradict themselves, like sometimes, yes. It almost feels like every time you detach and leave, this person, again, looks for you, wants to reach out, wants to talk to you, wants to give 100%. But when you were actually in the relationship or available to be in the relationship, they didn't give you anything. And it's almost like a sense where they deny themselves, because I can feel that they do want to spend time with you. I've lost faith that real love exists. People have lied and cheated on me. I'm afraid to open up my heart now. And that's what it was saying about the wounding. So until they heal themselves, they will continually go back and forth. And you'll always feel that they care because there is a soul's connection. However, unless they heal, they will just keep on bringing all their pain into the next relationship and looking at every relationship through distorted perceptions of, through their past traumas. And you don't want that. You definitely don't want that. So I would say that this is actually, like, I'm going to pull one more card for just the healing purpose. Because what can we do with this? Because the truth of the matter is that, is this person a soul's connection? Yes. but they have a lot of wounds. And really, in order for you to feel invincible and not and to be able to integrate your wound, like it's to like feel you're invincible. And that can't be with someone that, you know, has so much baggage that they haven't healed from. You can't do it because they'll constantly contradict themselves. So every time you let your guard down, they'll do something. So you'll always experience abandonment. Even though they know they don't want it to end, they'll keep on coming back. So it'll continually be a story that plays out with pain. And you don't want that because every time you get close, this is how they continuous the cycle, the karmic cycle, because they haven't healed. So what was done to them, they will unconsciously do to every relationship because of their fear. Even if they stay in the relationship, it means they'll check out and they'll cheat, they'll do other things because they can't give. I'm a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to love. So the spiritual healing message, whether you like it or not, and I say this because when you really have feelings for a person and they have one foot in, one foot out, they don't know what they want. They want the relationship because of course they want the love, but they have so much pain and trauma associated with relationships. That means that they have a lot of behaviorisms that are going to sabotage the relationship. So you have to say that you're down here to become the energy of love. When in the beginning, when you were going through the dark night of the soul, that was again everything that it wasn't of unconditional love and not part of your true self, your true path. Anything that you could really use, well, it falls away. That's what happens. And that's why we look at our life a lot of times when we're sad, because what we created was satisfying to the ego, but not the soul, not the spirit, not the real true self, the God part of self, why we're truly here. And so our relationships are also supposed to help us evolve into this higher state of consciousness to become unconditional love. However, if we're always walking around like the victim and we don't realize that we're the victim, which in this story, that's what it was, walking around with a victim consciousness, well, then what happens is that we have to become aware of that. And so we wouldn't become aware of it unless someone came into our life that we really fell for, that we really were head over heels for. That we said, well, that person feels like home. That person, I feel like they were supposed to be in my life. That person is. So what happens is to realize that the spirit part of self is the God part of self, and the unconditional love. The first part of that is we have to give it to ourselves first. The spiritual lesson is, and the human experience is pain. That's not the spiritual part of self, right? The spirit part of self is supposed to be of God, is perfect. It's unconditional love. It's the energy of the universe that's inside of us. It's what's created. It connects us to each other. So what causes sickness and disease? Detachment from self, detachment from others, and detachment from God. So again, we're down here in physical form to learn and to manifest. So understanding that you're a spirit having a human experience, that person might not have supposed to be your it was a soulmate, but they weren't, that we have many soulmates and anyone could be a soulmate. They weren't your twin flame. They weren't your whatever. And no person that gives us pain continuously is supposed to stay in our life. And if they are, well, then there's a part of ourselves, obviously, that doesn't love ourselves enough, regardless of the fact that we feel that that person is our soulmate and supposed to be in our life. And so that's really the spiritual lesson. The spiritual lesson is, on some level in this story, the person was the victim, and because of their life. And during that time is when they attracted the same type of energy into their life. And unconsciously that played out where the person had one foot in, one foot out, playing gaslighting, confusing the person. So every time, the boundaries went down, it's the person would take off. And then I want this. We're supposed to be together. And no, we're not really supposed to be together. And not until you like cut it and learn, like, again, my whole purpose to be down here is to get close to unconditional love. And all I experience with you is pain, but you're not supposed to be in my life, even if that pains me. So I'm going to leave that there. Even though that's a sad message, it's a true message. And the message is love yourself. Wherever, again, you don't have that connection to yourself, you may, again, connect to a person that you feel that can give it to you. They will not give it to you. They may be the catalyst to help you heal, to make you become aware, but they're not supposed to stay in your life. Pain is not love. And I'm going to leave that there. I'll talk to you all soon. And remember, if you want to win a free reading with me, all you need to do is, I do believe that, I don't remember what the word of the day is. You'll have to go back to the beginning of the video, but you just have to like and subscribe to the channel and then write that magic word in your comment bar. And you'll know if I chose you, if I wrote the word winner underneath. And right now I'm pretty much writing the word winner underneath everyone. Yeah, and it's not, and pain is not love, and the truth of the matter is, a lot of times we associate, yeah, you are a winner and you're gonna, like, that's the thing. It's like a lot of times unconsciously what we put up with, we actually think that, that's love. And you might have grown up in an environment that the people were mean. You were taught, well, your pain tolerance is higher, right? So if you've been around abuse or people that don't honor you, your pain tolerance is a lot higher, that you don't recognize it. So sometimes that's what it takes. It takes being in a relationship with someone that really hurts us. And really, this person isn't beating us. They're emotionally hurting us. They're keeping us in a place of fear. If every time a person, you feel like they're going to leave, there's abandonment. So, I'm going to, like I said, leave it there. So I'm glad that you resonated with that message. Oh, our fate is life, but it's not. That's not our purpose. Yeah, no, it's not. And our purpose mainly is just to, from a spiritual perspective, is to learn what unconditional love is. And we can learn that the best by doing what we love. Because when you do what you love, you're giving and receiving of love. You're becoming the highest vibration of yourself. And it helps you connect to the divine that works inside of you. And that's what I said in the beginning of this live stream. I said invincibility, knowing that you're invincible. And the way that we can see that we're invincible is when we co-create with every single person in the universe to doing what we love, because the divine works through us. And so the more that you do something, the better you get. So when you look at an Olympic, someone that's in the Olympics, right? An Olympic player, you can see the amount of hours that they put in. A painter, a sculptor, an art, whatever it is, whoever does anything that has any talent, they're becoming the energy. They are becoming the energy. See, the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. So if you can imagine it, you can create it, but you have to embody it, because you have to also stir up that emotional energy, right? This is how you get connected to the divine. This is how You get connected to other people on a real deep, intimate level, especially if you feel that you have an intimacy problem, which I feel like you do. And that's again through trust. So, again, trusting people. So, it's not trusting other people, it's trusting yourself, and when you do that, I promise you, you will evolve into a higher state of consciousness of unconditional love, vibrate at that vibration, and become the vibration of that which makes you a magnet towards that. So the universe is God, which is unconditional love, which is, like I said, the universe. So you need to become that energy in order to become abundant, in order to get everything that you need and all the emotional support, because your emotional support a lot of times is not going to come from the people that you want. Like, you'll say, what do you mean by that? Well, if you wanted your mother to really clap for you, a lot of times she doesn't know how to do that. She only knew how to do that sometimes. Or if you wanted it to be your father, if you wanted it to be, a lot of times we get the same types of people, the same karmic themes. So again, those themes are what make us look at ourselves. And there's usually, again, that the theme of not being worthy, not being good enough, not being enough. Again, this lack, which is fear, which is disconnect from God, which is disconnect from ourselves. So that's why I'm saying the antidote, the universal panacea, which is the magic pill, which there is no magic pill. What's a magic pill? Something that cures everything? Well, that's unconditional love, is to become that energy. And that is how you'll do that. Well, I appreciate you. And that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I said you don't trust. So you need to become that energy. And I feel like you're really talented and you're a very deep person. You don't feel comfortable with people all the time. And that's because of your sensitivity. So it's, again, you're be great in doing and helping people, really. And you'd be great in, like, I feel like computers. You'd be great in, like, again, you're very detail oriented, and so it's to do what you love. Parents and everyone can only teach us or do what they know. Exactly. And it's also that you have to realize that your parents, they were born into the world, the same world that we were. And unfortunately, within every time period, there's been something. And so whether that was World War II, whether that was Vietnam, whether there was poverty, whether that was, again, discrimination, there's millions and one reasons and situations that our families, again, grow up in, live in, and they form behaviors and habits that are in alignment with their survival. So when you want to know why generational karma exists, it's because those behaviorisms and habits were passed down. When you want to look at those behaviorisms and you want to look at the habits of your family, and what you'll see is they've worked really difficult and long jobs. And right, so and so they were taught, their society taught them who they were. And really, the first page in the Bible tells us, don't let the world tell you who you are, because the world is always going to tell you that you're limited, that you're not enough, that you don't have enough. We will perceive that. Your mind will tell you that. So you don't want to get caught up in that analytical mind of survival. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to do that ever. You want to be in the creative mind, the creative genius. That is the creative mind. So if you can imagine it, you can create it. We become it. We utilize the spiritual energies, and we're able to see. Right. We only know what we know, so to speak. Right. Exactly. And that depends on the environment. the environment that we grew up in, what society tells us. And remember, society is never going to tell you all the information. It tends to tell you what's best for the whole. You might not fall into the whole, as everyone, like one size doesn't fit all. We're all uniquely different, even if we are the same, we're uniquely different. And part of our individuality, our flavor per se of who we are, it is what is supposed to be exposed when we are interacting in the world. We're not supposed to be like robots. We need to be able to find ourselves. And that, again, is not reliant, thank God, on how much money you have, or even where you live, or anything, or on race, gender, any of it, to be honest with you. It's like, again, if you can imagine it, you can create it. It's all about evolving into this higher state of consciousness, which is unconditional love. And it starts with the unconditional love that you need to give to yourself. And again, our society wasn't taught that. Our society was mainly taught, be kind to other people, love other people, put other people first. But if you haven't created yourself and you don't know who you are, then you're not going to like who you are. And if you don't like who you are, then your choices and your habits and your behaviorisms are going to be in alignment with that. And then you're unconsciously telling every single person that comes in your vicinity that. And that is really what pain and suffering is. That's, again, what trauma is all about, how karma is created. So, like I said, it starts with you. And I'm feeling you never exposed, always appreciated. Healing your root chakra. Actually, and Wendy too, like, I feel like everybody needs to do a little body mind connection to get strong, to deal with, again, whatever anxiety. And because you're sensitive, whenever it is this sensitivity, we tend to go up in our mind a little too much. So you want to be in the now, in the moment, because only in the now do you get divine guidance. It's interesting to me how part of the way we are is enlarged to those we walked alongside in our life. If we were born on one, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. And what's scary too is those people, a lot of times that you're also walking alongside are dead because they're ancestors. You know what I mean? When you want to look and see, you're born into families that are going to teach you the lessons that you need. That's why they say you pick your family. But you pick your family based on the spiritual lessons that you need to learn to, again, learn that you're not separate from God. You're not separate from love, because that's all that God is love. It's a universal energy that we all have inside of each other. However, we also have, the shadow parts of ourselves, the ego, if you wanted to per se, the devil part of a self, right? Which is a part of ourself which is, wants mainly only considers ourselves. It doesn't consider anyone else. Really, when you're talking about the devil, you're talking about the part of self that is man-made, the part of self that is it's not really real. And so, again, we form these parts because of not just family, but ancestors. So a family member that grew up in a war and poverty and a depression, you may still be suffering. A lot of us are, because they say 700 generations. In the Bible, it says you inherit 700 generations of karma from your ancestors. So if they were poor, then guess what? You may still be struggling with, again, financial situations. If they suffered with self-esteem issues, whatever it is. But they didn't know what we know, that the body and mind are self-healing organisms. It's amazing when we find people who are in our, yeah, Yeah, and you're in my tribe, and I thank you for being here. You know what I mean? It's like because you're a magnet of who and what is supposed to come into your life. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. We're not in charge of how we manifest. We get caught up in what's it going to look like? How is it going to be? When's it going to be? No, we're not in charge of that. We're in charge of doing the best that we can do. And that's why they say no one knows what the hell they're doing, because no one really does know what we're doing. We're all like trying to figure it out. But what stops us is, oh, I look foolish. Oh, I don't want to look dumb. Oh, I don't want to. It's again all the judgments of ourselves which get in our own way. This is how we get in our own way instead of being able to go with the flow of life. You need to be a clear conduit for spirit to work through. Spirit, universal energy, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's prana, it's chi, right? It's oxygen that you breathe. Well, that's also spirit. It's God, it's universal. So it's got to flow through you. And if you learn a lot about your ancestors, you find so many traits that are the same, right? That and by right, and they understand that your DNA, you can easily turn on and off DNA by your behaviorisms. So it's you can do inherit the DNA. However, thankfully, only sickness and disease is 5% inherited. And that's the thing. I know because my father had cancer like over 8 times. I think he had 9 times total. He also had 2 hip replacements and upper and lower back surgery. And my mom was as mentally sick as my father was physically sick, because like goes to like. You're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. So I grew up in an environment that I needed to do a lot of healing, because all my behaviorisms, I had addictions, I lived in fear, my behaviorisms and habits were in alignment with that. And really, it was because my environment continually told me, you're not good enough, you don't have enough, you don't. It's, again, they didn't understand sensitivity. They didn't know what ADHD really was back in the 70s. They didn't. So it was like if you were different, and then you made things difficult. And if you made things difficult, then people didn't treat you nicely. So understand, you're going to form these behaviorisms that are going to shape your consciousness. But those parts of self are not real either. They're like a shell, they're a coating. And when you again are on your healing journey, and that's through doing what you love, spirit is bringing you to people and situations that are going to change your mind and your heart. You don't just change your mind and your heart, spirit changes your mind and your heart. You're just doing what you love. That's why in the Bible it says be like childlike, because you're just doing what you love and becoming what you love. And inside your mind, that's why they say the child that survives thrives. Your great grandma had OCD, and I get back and she didn't even know what that was. She didn't know what that was. Like, and that's no, it's like, but OCD trying to make things perfect. I have OCD too, where you try to like, put everything in its place. You try and make everything perfect. It's also like a anxiety. Whenever you get anxiety, like right before I have to leave the house, that's when I decide that I have to wash the floor. Or that's when I decide that I have like everything needs to be where really it's not in the outside, it's the inside. And the only way to get through that healing is to get through it. It's to meaning you have to it's a walk. You have to go through the anxiety, you have to go through the fear. And so you have to learn how to breathe through it. You have to learn how to be present. It is a mental hell because it's again, and it's time consuming. It's time consuming. And I know to live with me is sometimes like my husband, I live like is the messiest person alive. Like, that's how God fixed me. It's like I'm with someone that I literally have to walk around with the dustbuster, and I drive him crazy. He ignores me now a lot of times, but when we first got married, he was like, "I can't take it." It's like I put that down for a second, but it's that craziness that we feel inside, and it's all unconscious. It's a feeling to need to do something instead of just be. Is to be able to look at everything in its place and have everything clean because you feel so out of control. And that's it's again not being grounded sometimes, and sometimes it's just anxiety. So it's a you gotta work through it. That's what the walking on fire coals is all about, right? It's that we walk through the pain. We walk on pain. We learn how to breathe through the pain. That's what yoga is about. Breathing through the uncomfortability of the pose. Well, you're taking that practice off the mat and into life. And so that's why I'm saying with anything that we have to do that we have anxiety, or anything that we have to recondition the body and mind, especially the mind, is going to be done through the body, because you condition your body through your mind. And sometimes there's trauma that we don't even remember that's held in the body. So you would have to, again, recondition that whole body mind connection. Detachment is causes trauma. Disassociation, meaning it's like I know what happened, but I don't really remember parts of it. Is again, dissociation and detachment are caused from trauma, and that means also detachment from the physical body. So body mind coordination isn't going to be as strong, having a harder time staying present, again, because it's part of the survival, right? Because that would be trauma. So, yeah, it's a mental health. I appreciate, and it makes no sense, and we know it makes no sense. And I bet there are a lot of things like that. Well, there's a lot of things that we're seeing more and more, like how you're seeing star seeds and indigo children, and you're seeing more children that have ADHD. You're seeing more children that have like food sensitivities, and they say it's because the planet is raising its vibration. Unfortunately, before a planet can raise its vibration, there needs to be a purging. And the purging is of everything that's really imbalanced, right? You have to say, what has created the imbalance within the world? Well, it's the imbalance within all of us, right? It's like because what's within is without. So if that's your world, you have to say what needs to be healed within your world in order to take back the like your contribution of it per se. And you can take back your contribution by healing and integrating your wounds. And that would be first and foremost, if you don't remember a lot, you would want to do like a healing modality like the somatic healing. It's again, that's it's you don't need to remember anything. You need to release the energy though, because when you go through trauma, it changes your energy. It's again, that's your nervous system would be a reflection of that. So that part of it, yeah, like I have ADHD, and also I actually also have a sluggish cognitive um, complex, and that's where when I was a kid, I could never stay present. I would daydream all the time. I would go in, so it's easy for me to go into the psychic realm. However, that's not good if you are like trying to learn, and it creates more emotional problems, it creates more anxiety, it creates a lot of those things. However, there's gifts to your ADHD. You should check out my TV show on Tuesday. I'll put the link. That these messages go away after at the end. So I'm going to put it in the community, and the show is free. So definitely tune in on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. because I'm going to be talking about the psychic connection ADHD and trauma, how they all correlate, how, again, you can utilize your ADHD to access your creative genius part of self. My ring, this one's a Turkish ring, and I fell in love with it. And yeah, I got it in downtown St. Augustine. There was a Turkish store, and I love Turkish stuff because it had, all the beautiful stained glass and elaborate jewelry and all that beautiful stuff. And I'm just like a jewelry buff. That's my thing. It wasn't really expensive. Yeah, Florida, St. Augustine, Florida. Wasn't super expensive either. I think I paid maybe like 100, like a little over 100 for it. I mean, considering that it's a funky Art Deco ring, it wasn't like thousands of dollars or anything like that. It was just something that I like. Yeah, did you like it? Did you like St. Augustine? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, like it's a nice place to live, St. Augustine. Yeah. Let me ask you, did you like the video? You need to subscribe to the channel so that you make sure that you catch other live streams. I'd be curious to see how you go on your journey. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Oh, good. Yeah, because in this way, like I said, I'm trying to grow the channel, but I like to be interactive with the community because I want to really teach shadow healing. Yeah, that's great because you know, we all have shadow parts of ourselves, and we do get to a place in our life where we feel almost like stuck or stagnant, and we just feel like, again, so a lot of times doing your shadow healing will help you integrate. Thank you. I like your vibe too. And last time I did Wendy, the Wendy was on earlier before, and I wound up doing her reading, and she's a nice energy. Everyone that comes to it does, because I feel like everyone's in a place of wanting to heal, to evolve, right? Everybody wants to do this at this point, especially seeing what the world looks like right now. That whatever side you're on, it's like it shouldn't matter. We should all know how to get along, right? It's like without wanting to kill each other. We should want to know that we all are connected, that when the world gets together and people, again, have, just want good for everyone, you make the world a better place. And the truth of the matter is, it's possible. And when you do it, you get abundance, no less. Not to mention, if you're doing it, then you're teaching your children through your actions. You become the example for your children. And it's not what you say, it's what you do. And they are saying, well, look at what my mom's doing. Like she's even though like we've grown up and we're out of the house, like she's created another venture for herself because she's always evolving, and that you're like their greatest teacher. So by becoming and healing yourself, you're really able to not just transcend the limitations of your ego, which is the limitations of what we put on ourselves. Like, I can only live in this type of house, I can only have this. We're the people that put the limitations on our own life. So you can actually transcend that because you're not even thinking about it. You're just creating and doing what you love. You're not removing yourself. You're living your bliss. This is not a logical thing. This is an intuitive thing. This is a heart-based thing. And that's what I'm saying. And that, right, and no one has ever asked to be born here. And here is not an easy place, but understand, if you're here on some level, on your soul said, no, I want to be here. I want to be here. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to evolve. It's just we don't remember why we said it. We don't remember picking the parents that we picked. A lot of times I know let's say I picked these people. What, like, was I drunk? Like, I signed up for this. So, like, where was I? I know I have ADHD, but did I even read the paper? It's almost like, because in the beginning, no one tells you. They don't tell you that you're living a spiritual, right, exactly. Like no one tells you. So everything is like a real unfoldment process. And if you can look at things from a spiritual perspective, you then don't take things personally, like, oh, I'm a loser, that shouldn't have happened. You actually realize a lot of times, like, you can heal even bad relationships like over time. And it's because we can deal with it differently. We see ourselves differently. Well, the large part of it is that we are young, we are dumb. We didn't have people, navigating, helping us navigate. They were trying to figure it out themselves. They were so consumed with figuring out their own life that they did the best that they could do. So, right, and that's okay. Part of your challenges, by the way, once you integrate those challenges, they turn to gifts, because life is all about thinking you know something, leaving it and returning it to see it differently, to get a different perception, because what? God is all knowing. You are God. There's God inside of you. You're not separate from God, because the spirit, love, is our connection to each other. So, if when we see a block, a spiritual block, which is a wound, it means we're stuck in a limited perception of ourselves that we've detached from. And really, healing is just about seeing a different perception of that situation in order to integrate it. But it's not just seeing it, it's grounding it. This is why a lot of times our spiritual experiences play out within our relationships. That's why people say keep getting the same type of person. It's You will, because the what we resist persists. You're a magnet of who and what. Your soul already knows what needs to be healed. And and there's that fear of, oh my god, I hope I don't get this again. How do I, if I don't trust? So what happens is people say, I want to get into a relationship, let me set it up so I feel that I can be safe. But they're realizing the whole time they're holding on to fear, and all their behaviorisms and habits are in alignment with fear. And they say, well, I've been screwed over a few times, what am I supposed to do? Well, it's about getting into that vibration of unconditional love and not thinking about it. It's because your greatest perception, like, is when you are not staring at something. It's when you're far away from it. And that, again, you create distance. When we're so close up to the picture, you don't see the detail. However, your intuition works best only in the moment, only in the now, not if your head is, oh, what am I going to do? Is this person trustworthy? Where am I going? Like, you're no longer present. You're no longer able to receive that divine guidance. And as you change yourself, you attract different, right? That's what it is. So if you keep attracting the same people, that's because, again, the energy. So in this particular story, in the beginning, because I don't think you caught it, it was about a person that always played the victim. And it played the victim because they have people that are malicious around them. So it started off with growing up in an environment that person didn't feel safe. The parent probably was a little mean to them. No, and that might seem like mean, but just angry. And so got used of that energy, didn't really realize that the person was being malicious a lot, wasn't paying attention to the behaviorisms. And then, in order to break that karmic cycle, they had to really love themselves in order to become themselves, in order to see that once they actually did that, that soulmate that was again had that wound where they kept being mean, they actually changed because the person left, said, I'm not dealing with it. It's like, so you can't make a person change. You change yourself. That makes that person change. And that's what it was. And probably that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. Because in there, when I find it, it was like where it said that I blame you. It was my fault. It was my fault, but I blamed you. So again, had one foot in, one foot out, made the person not feel loved, made them not feel supported. So, and that's when you came in, when we learned that again, love is not, shouldn't make you feel bad. If a person has one foot in, one foot out, they are being malicious. They are being mean to you because they know what you need. They know what you're deserving of. And so if they're not willing to give it because of their wounds, which is again, the person had wounds, the person wanted them to stay stuck, right? The person in the story wanted their connection to stay stuck. And that's why they have one foot in, one foot out. It's like, I like you and I don't really want you to go anywhere. But if you give me too much, I'm going to run away. If you don't give me enough, I'll run after you and give you more. So it's always a little bit of a mind fuck. So the way that would have to be, dealt with is to cut it. And that's what happened. And then the person regretted lying and they buried themselves in work. So they weren't emotionally intelligent. They still played games. They, not as bad, but they still needed healing because at the end of the day, their wound didn't come from you. It came from, I can't see if I could find it. It came from, I contradict myself. So that was the in and out. But I've lost faith in the relationships. And I've lost faith in the relationships because I've been hurt. So instead of the person needed to be healed, they were like, I keep getting hurt and fucked over. And the reason why is because they were always wearing a mask. So you have to be real and become yourself, become an authentic self. This is how you give yourself the love, become the vibration of love. And that's how you weed out people that are phony balonies because you'll intuitively be able to see. Yeah, it's okay. Like, but you know what? It's like I'm going to be on every day. I have to grow this channel. And I've been lazy. I'm not really lazy, but I do a lot of stuff. And so I want to do more live streams. That's why I'm saying, and I love interacting with everybody, so that's why I'm saying, but hit the subscribe button. I'll be on again tomorrow, because I've already been on for an hour and 18 minutes. But it's like I love and like I said, I love having you on. So I'm gonna be on, like, try and be on a few times a day, and so you'll catch me when I'm on, and we'll talk and we'll chat, and I'll tap into your energy to make sure that you're still on track. Well, I do a lot of stuff because of ADHD, but also because when I was growing my business, I was like, oh, look, I'm at like this famous place, Casadega. They hired me to do readings, and now I'm going to be famous. And Spirit said to me, so you're famous if you work at a place? And I said, well, all the famous people work here. And so Spirit says, well, it's not really how it works. It was like, and then I looked at everybody's website because Spirit said you should look at these people's websites. And I looked, and in order to really create yourself in this field, you can't just do readings. You have to do a lot of stuff. You should have a niche, and you have to create yourself. Because remember, I had a mom that tried to kill me. I had a father that was an alcoholic. I was taught by them. And my father was sick, as I shared, with cancer over 9 times. Again, had hip replacements, both upper and lower back surgery. He was brilliant. He skipped grades in school, but spiritually, he was sick. And so when you grow up in that environment, which I did, I inherited those behaviorisms and habits. So part of my path is to again help heal in order to heal myself, and is also to create myself, because that old narrative of who I am is not who I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be defective. I'm not supposed to be not good enough. I'm not supposed to be any of those things. And neither are you. We're supposed to be unconditional love. And so we don't realize that we go through these experiences that do that. Hey, hey, it's been so long that I've seen you. It could, Ishka. I remember your name because I remember you were on not too long ago. I hope that you're doing good. But yeah, it's all part of, being able to heal oneself. And sometimes I'm not aware of what I need healing. So spirit brings me someone. And that's it. Yeah, I must have been on here a while back. Yes, you were. I remember I did a mini reading for you, and it was a long time ago because I remember you telling me how to pronounce your name, but it was so long I don't remember it. So did you hit that notification bell? And so again, so that you would know when I'm on, so that you can jump on and be on, you know. Yeah, exactly. Hurt people, and we're all hurt people. Yeah, and understand, it's not. Can I tell you something? I'm gonna share something. I was friends with this girl for a very long time, and when I was a hairdresser, and oh, great! I'm glad that you did. And what wound up happening was I went through a traumatic experience where I wound up didn't really have a falling out, but we kind of did. But when she left the salon, I didn't talk to her for a really long time. And I have to say, I forgot about her. And you'd say, how do you forget about a person? And you forget because of trauma. It's like when you're on autopilot, and it's like I finally remembered her and it came flooding back, all the information. And I have never had that before where I've literally forgotten. I know that there's pieces from trauma in my childhood that I forgot about, but this was like I was an adult. And so the traumatic response again is, you disassociate. It's part of survival. And emotional survival is something too. It's not, we have to take that into consideration. So, how are you doing, Ishka? Am I saying your name right? I feel like I'm not. I hate that. Yeah, I mean, it's like that's the disassociation, and that's what happens. That awakening is the awakening to the wound. A lot of times, like I said, I have to admit, I said, I forgot about her, but I have to say, I didn't think I was important. I didn't think that I was important enough because I was conditioned in an environment to think that I wasn't important, and I brought in that behaviorism. Been a little confused this entire year, but time has been opening up answers. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you're in a place of healing. So you might not see a lot of things going on in the physical realm, but internally things are happening. I'm doing good. I mean, look, self-observation. This is where you are, and that's why they said you may not be in a place. So you've been going inward, right, Ishkar? Like that's why I wanted to just pull cards to read your energy. Read your energy. Like I'm doing okay. Trying to stay balanced. I need to be a little bit more consistent. Like that's why I'm saying I want to be on YouTube a little bit more. Um, my husband's health is not so good. So I know he's going to pass away soon. So I'm trying to like spend more time. I'm trying to give um, more like there so that I don't regret. But in order to do that, it's like there's a lot of hours in the day. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's like I married someone that was 20 years older than me. He doesn't act like it, and we've been together a long time, and I'm going to be devastated. However, it's like I'm trying to create the life, right? And but be balanced about it because it's like there's a lot of hours in the day, so you don't want to not spend any time, right? If your days the last few months, whatever, it's like I want to be able to spend that time, but then also I need to think about my future, right? So it's all about balance, which ironically, every single spiritual test that I have always requires balance because I am like one of the most imbalanced people that you'd ever meet. you know, like it's very easy for me to like live like let my addictive personality take over, right? It's like so right. So that's why I'm saying, and so because you're emotional, you're highly sensitive like me, so, right. So, balance is so important. So, we have to say, well, first, how do we form balance? Especially if you're an emotional person, especially if you're doing a lot of self observation. And that's again to create balance in your life, meaning there's a lot of hours in the day. So, maybe time for friends, time for your healing, time to, again, to your craft, time for your physical health, time to like make your life look like a pizza pie. Be interactive in your life because there's a supernatural part that doesn't just work through you, but works through the environment and knows exactly what you need. So I feel like Ishka, you've been like in a place of self-observation that you could almost get lost. Feel like, okay, now I don't know who I am and I don't know where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do. So we want to be able to like create the balance because the universe works through you with when you're interactive in life. Like I said, you'll be called through the divine, not knowing inside you. It will just see. You'll say, how? Well, it's again when the student is ready, the teacher appears. We never can tell you how because that's how you see the support from again your creator, the divine, right? This is why there is divine intervention. Sometimes we won't even see a certain thing happen. So past life, I feel like you're clearing past life, so you might be dealing with a lot of deja like again, which is part of the healing. But it's also like the past life karma is like that could be the generational karma, ancestral karma, and again stuff that you brought in from different lifetimes, which again, and that's the genius part of self, which is the God part of self, which like I said, once you begin to create yourself, you're not only able to heal yourself because different situations will play out that will trigger you. It's how it works. And it's because you're actually grounded doing what you love because interactive in creating yourself. And then, like I said, those triggers definitely play out because those still are inside of you. You still attract those things, which create the self observation. So you would have to do it to see it anyway, but allows you to integrate the spiritual lesson, to allows you to like do something different. Again, which in your case is heal inferiority. Like again, so we have another highly sensitive person here that again you might not be asserting yourself as well as you should be. You might not be, again, you might be someone that's like, well, I'm just going to sit back and see what happens. And then what happens is you don't really like what is there. Right. So that sensitivity, which is, but then I know too, because I'm sensitive and I'm energetic. So it's about more assertiveness because our sensitivity can actually work as a downfall when it's really a gift. Your gift that allows you to feel and see things that are not really there and set yourself up. Yeah, like, well, that's the thing. It's like, and that's the problem with those highly sensitive people too, that other people come in and feel your energy and say, I know exactly what would work best for you to do for me. Like not what would not is it's not a equal give and take reciprocity type of relationship. We say, why do I wind up in that type of relationship? And the reason why is because you can't differentiate between your emotions, that person's emotions. It- there's sometimes it's a karmic theme that plays out that you grew up as the fixer, the healer of the family. And so unconsciously you're going in there, but it's all because of feeling inferior. And so saying, like, why did I get this karma? Why does that play out? Right. And that, yeah. And so it's, and that's where boundaries need to be. But if you don't have a passion, a love, an interest, something that's just yours, then it's you can't hold to the boundary, right? Because it's always someone that you care about that is going to manipulate you in abandoning that instead of, it's just, if a stranger did it, that you'd be able to say no, but it's always someone that you care about. Right. And that's the thing. But being a lot of times we feel inferior. And so, on an unconscious level, in order to not feel inferior, we give too much of our energy. So, that was what that was about. So, I'm going to leave that there. I hope that that was helpful. I'm like on my way, though. And I hope my itch guy thing dropped off. And it's getting late. I think that it's been an hour and a half. That was a good time tonight. I hope that you're on again. I really enjoyed your company. Never expected, always appreciated. I like it. And that totally is your energy. I just want you to know that. It's a totally cool vibe of, again, just being. And that's good because then you can go with the flow of life. So when you heal those wounds, it'll be really easy. And we all have wounds. So it's not like you have to wait for that to happen. While you're healed, while you're living life, it should be happening. This channel hopefully will give you the tools to help you again get through those situations a lot easier, to integrate our wounds a lot easier, especially being that you have children and life is constantly going to change for you as your children grow up, and as they go out of the house, then there's a whole other life that you'll create for yourself, but you got a while for that. So thanks again for joining. I'll catch you next time. Have a great night. See you again probably. Well, I hope so. I really hope so. Well, you'd hit that notification button, so I hope to see you again. Good night.